Now, everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Get ready to match the stars. Robert Vaughn, Brett Summers, McLean Stevenson, Richard Dawson, and Betty White as we play the star-studded Big Money Match Game 73. And now here's the host of Match Game 73,
Douglas Viviani.
Welcome to Match Game 73. How do you like that?
You were what? You were 40 years old in 1973,
exactly.
weren't you?
I took over right before Gene Rayburn, auditioned right before Gene Rayburn. And, that could have been my other life had I won that
stuck
audition.
with it. Yeah,
I stuck with it. Anyway, this is Douglas Viviani on Everything Old is New again with the rather competitive David Cohen talking about the comeback of the TV game show, beginning with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire from last decade, continuing to the Hollywood Game Night, which is on now by Jane Lynch. Have you ever seen that show?
I have.
It's not bad. It's in the 4th season.
It's okay.
And this hits summer hit of the trio right now of Alex Baldwin with The Match Game, Celebrity Family Feud with Steve Harvey, and the $100,000, not 10, not 25, $100,000 pyramid, which a guy that gets work in this industry that I don't know how he does it, but he's getting work like crazy. Michael Strahan, the TV game show is back. I mean, how does that guy get? Come on, please.
He's an affable guy. He's a friendly guy.
But he's a football player. There are so many broadcasters that are looking for work, that do this for a living, they went to school for it, and so forth, and, can't get a job. This guy's got billions of dollars. He's got to do 100 shows. I mean, I don't get it. Can you let somebody else have a chance, please? He's got no personality at all. He's absolutely a blank slate. He's nothing. He reads what's on the card, and it says the answer to the question. That's it. He's no Regis. He's no Bill Cullen. He's no Dick Clark. What is he doing? All right. I'm getting a little out of control right now.
Well, you're off your medication. Let's just get that clear with everybody.
I'm getting annoyed. I can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out. Anyway, games have been played.
Well, on that positive note, let's talk about game shows.
But they've been played since the dawn of man, through all civilization.
Not women, just the dawn of man.
But what am I saying? What, mankind? What do I say? All of what? What's the word?
How about the dawn of time? That's easier.
No, dawn of time, dinosaurs didn't play games.
How do you know?
Oh, please.
I mean, what were they like? What was your recollection of the dinosaurs?
They chased around like crazy. The brontosaurus aren't bad because they were herbivores. But, the others... Did your
daughter teach you that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, why are we drawn to these things? I mean, we have no chance.
Why are you drawn to these things? You're very, emotional. I feel like, I'm a little like, wow, we just got off to a very weird start.
Well, because I used to watch these game shows as a kid all the time, loved them, and the game show host is a unique talent.
I see.
And
Usually a comedian.
Yes, or at least
Gene Rayburn was.
Yes, or at least an affable kind of a guy, not a guy that just
like you were a few minutes ago.
Thank
very
you.
Affable.
Yes,
screaming your head off.
I need a guy reading a card, saying the answer to the question and the question itself. I mean, you can have a computer do that. Could you have a comment, please? I mean, at least this guy Harvey's got something to say. Alec Baldwin's another one. What's he doing on that show?
He's kind of funny.
Please,
I mean,
go back to acting, please. I mean, that's enough.
He's a comedic actor, though.
He's horrible. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. What's not horrible is the first millionaire of all time, John Carpenter. Check this out.
So if you're ready, let's go for the million.
Hi, Dad.
Hi.
I don't really need your help. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to win the $1 million. Because the U.S. president appeared on Laughing as Richard Nixon. That's my final answer.
What can I say except, Debbie, you're going to Paris, and this is the final answer heard all around the world. He's won $1 million.
How do you like that? That was thrilling. I love that.
That was. What a great way to... How brilliant was that? To use the phone a friend to announce to your dad you're about to... It was great.
It was just great. I just wonder what he's doing now, and what he do with that million.
He probably squandered all of it.
He's probably calling Dad for a couple of bucks for a sandwich. But no, I wish him all the best. I think it was great. We were invested in it.
Why do you wish him?
And
what do you
Regis
wish him
is
all
so
the best?
great. You hear the personality he's got. He brings you into it. Personality. personality-wise.
Well, Regis, yeah.
Yeah, and he talks about
why do you wish John Carpenter all the best? I'm just...
Because I give him a lot of credit for going through all that aggravation and win that $1 million. That was tremendous.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Since then, today, in today's world, these game shows have to be about celebrities. Have to have a celebrity. So here's Amy Poehler on Hollywood Game Night. You guys get a feel for this.
Hey, Amy, what you were doing was Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are. We wanted Bruno Mars, but your time ran out anyway.
Bruno Mars. There was a gentleman called Billy Joel. It was amazing.
All right, so celebrities playing the game ad-libbing.
Right. So here's
okay.
the thing. Here's what I don't like about the new game shows is that they're not about the common people who are supposed to be contestants on the game shows. That's what game shows used to be about, right?
Well, you would team, a celebrity with a regular character.
Right.
And that's what I love.
It was the regular people who were competing and trying to win money. Now it's celebrities trying to win the money, where it's more about the celebrities.
For charity, and do they really care? Now it's about the celebrity trying to ad-lib, and then half these characters should not be ad-libbing, let's face it. I mean, come on. Seriously. But
how about Michael Strahan? Should he be ad-libbing?
This is what it would sound like for Michael Strahan to ad-lib. You ready?
Oh, God.
Ready? You ready for it?
Yeah.
Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. That's his ad-lib. Okay, so now we've got Martha Stewart, though, and Snoop Dogg on Pyramid. This is hysterical, though. Listen to the topic, and Snoop Dogg, who is this kind of a, loony kind of a guy that's off the foundation, or what do they call it? Off the... what do they call it?
I don't know where you're going with this.
He's
off the reservation?
Off the reservation.
All right.
Listen to this character. He's great.
Something you cover your bed pillows with.
Oh, a sham.
Something that you cover your comforter with.
Duvet.
Lighting fixtures for your walls.
Sconce.
The entrance to your home, your fancy home.
Foyer.
The wood paneling that goes around a room about 3 feet high.
Wainscoting.
Now, I just have to say, putting celebrities with celebrities, I agree with you, I'm not a big fan. But those two together, the dichotomy of this Martha Stewart, with Snoop Dogg, and the guy...
He's living in her world. That was so freaky.
That was amazing. It was hysterical. I mean, you get a kick out of that, don't you?
I do. I mean, but they don't do that enough. More often than not, you get this match game, Jason Alexander.
Barbie said, I'm getting a little suspicious about Ken. The other day I caught him playing with my blank.
My shoes.
I think it was a very fine answer on your part. It was thoughtful. It was provocative. Wish I had thought of it. Ken was looking for shake it up a little bit, so he was playing with Malibu Barbie.
I mean, sometimes you can't come up with a lot of things ad-lib all the time, but that match game's hard. It could be a lot of fun, but it's hard to do if you don't really have the right combination and the right thing to ad-lib with.
I remember the old match game. You can't tell me that Richard Dawson, who was the funniest celebrity on that panel, wasn't fed the answers by the writers beforehand. He's not that fun. No one is that funny.
I agree, and I wonder, a lot of them were drunk, they said, too, they had parties in between. I just wonder what they're doing now with it. You need somebody to ad-lib and to work with. I'm not sure Alex Baldwin's a fellow that you can ad-lib with. I don't know, just throwing it out there. So it's hard. The celebrities are on their own with these silly questions, and it's not always that great. But it's getting great ratings. Then you also, what I like is you take a look into the personality of the celebrity itself. This is Kelly Pickford.
Name someone you'd be shocked to receive a naughty text message from.
Like a relative?
Name something specific that babies throw.
Up. They throw up. Is that all?
All right, let's go.
5 questions?
No, it wasn't 5 questions. It was 4 questions. We didn't get to the 5th one.
Why not?
Because you kept talking.
There you
that
go.
Was Kelly Pickler, right?
Yeah, it's from American Idol, and that's on Family Feud. So it gives you a little bit about their personality. So that I kind of like. And I like Steve Harvey because he's straightforward and he's funny and he can ad-lib. He's a comedian. That's the best thing. We'll be right back on Everything
You're
Old is New
listening to
Again.
Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
What's it all about? Why do we care?
And David Cohen.
Everything Old is New Again.
Fortune and fabulous prizes may go to these people today if they know when the price is right. Sandy Flournoy, stand up. Bonnie Gunnell, stand up. Myra Carter, stand up. Come on down. You're the first contestants on the new Price is Right.
There you go. Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. This is Douglas Viviani with David Cohn discussing TV, TV
sitcoms.
Game shows.
Sitcoms,
no, TV game shows. And I'll tell you, that is the new Price is Right from 1972. That was the new Price is Right. There was a Price is Right on from 56 to 65 with a host Bill Cullen on nighttime, nighttime regular prime time. They didn't call it prime time back in the day, but prime time television, and it had great ratings for quite a long time. Imagine that now. I guess that was their, what would you say, their reality show at the time?
Basically, yeah, because you had people thrown into real life situations, and you had a camera rolling, just like real life, they do today with the Bachelor and all that stuff.
Right, and I'll tell you, the new Price is Right. It's been on since '72. It's still on now, 2016. Got to be the longest running game show of all time. Bob Barker was on it for a huge amount of time after doing Truth or Consequences. Look that one up. That was a great game show.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
when it was on the daytime, and I was a kid watching it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But anyway, the idea is, let's take a look now at the classic, the old school TV game show. And quite frankly, Bob Barker in that one was the star of the show. And again, he didn't do anything else. He was a game show host. He was perfect at it. He had ad libs. He had feeling. He gave you a little. He welcomed you into his living room, so to speak. Was something that I'm not going to harp on it too much more. But listen, as far as I'm concerned, he was one of the best. But one of the best guesses of all time happened, or best answers, I should say, happened on Wheel of Fortune. Listen to this. One letter was exposed on, it's like Hangman, you know that show, right? Wheel of Fortune. One letter was exposed, and this lady goes ahead and says this.
L.
One L.
Really solve?
What's that?
Can I solve?
Okay, yeah.
I've got a good feeling about this.
That's right. Is it just me, or was that the most amazing solve we've ever had?
That's 7 words on one letter.
Wow.
And she got it.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Almost you think to yourself, did she have the answer ahead of time? What was that? But
Possibly.
We'll talk about cheating on game shows next section.
Well, but I don't know. I saw someone blow one. Do you remember? It was on the same show, and the answer was Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
And the only letter that was not exposed was the A. So it was like Cipital.
Yeah.
And she says, "I got it, Capitol Hall." And she missed.
It happens. You've also got a bunch of funny lines from Family Feud and Newlywed Games, and all these games have funny things that happen. Check these out. Pretty funny.
Gentlemen, tell me, what is your favorite part of our Newlywed Games set? Jim?
Probably wife number 2.
Name a yellow fruit.
Orange.
Name something that follows the word pork.
You pie.
Next question, gentlemen. What is the one thing the people on the other side of your street have more of than you do?
Cars.
Cars. Your wife said they have more grass than you do.
Grass.
I wouldn't bet on that.
Reference back in the 60s.
What did that mean, Chuck? What did that mean? What
you
was
had
he
to see the
referring
guy.
to?
You knew he was a hippie-ish type of guy. It was funny. I think some of the best ones come from Family Feud and the Newlywed Game. It just lends itself to this silliness. Family Feud, you got the pressure to
because you have
quickly.
real people being the contestants,
Exactly.
and that's where you get the humor and the comedy and you see yourself up there, right? You don't see yourself when you're, who was that? Jason Alexander? I mean,
yeah, right. I mean, although Match Game has the panel of celebrities,
yes.
and still to this day they've got
but that's more of an entertainment show. That's not, to me, that's not as much of a game show. It's
right.
You're tuning in to see the celebrities be funny.
Right. So what you're saying is these, which I agree with you, the Family Feud and the Newlywed and some others, you tune in because you want to see what these people say.
The average Joe,
and you can play along with them.
Exactly.
You could answer a lot of that stuff. And then I mean, back in the day, in the mid-'70s, all of a sudden, this show came out, which you can qualify or quantify as a game show, but it really wasn't. But Chuck Barris came along with the Gong Show, and that was a blast. Here's 2 recurring characters that were on the Gong Show, but of course, real people were on the show as well. But
here comes the Wizard of
last one yesterday, right? Waiter comes over, he has his thumb on my steak. I said, what are you doing with your thumb on my steak? He said, I didn't want to drop it again.
There you go. And if you saw those, or that show,
Gene the Dancing Machine,
you knew those characters for sure. What was Gene?
Gene was the dancing machine. He was just some guy that came out and did this.
Actually.
Huh?
A stagehand.
Stagehand came out and did this. It wasn't even a dance. It was just like a little something he did. And just randomly, Chuck Barris would just call him out onto the stage. It was a predecessor to America's Got Talent, in a way.
In a way, because you
had
true.
judges. You had a big gun. If they didn't like you, they hit the gong. But the show became more about, Chuck. By the way, you remember in high school, everyone said I look like Chuck Barris.
You sure did.
That
yes.
was the big thing.
Yes.
So Chuck was a weird host. He was your kind of host,
yes.
right? Unknown guy, came out, was
real
quirky,
fun,
funny.
quirky, and he went with it. But also there were real people that came on and sang or did an act. A lot of goofy acts because
Yes.
they wanted to be gonged. But there were some real people doing real acts
Real
to
talent.
win.
Yeah.
Did they win money? I don't even know what happened on that. But
I don't think.
Who knows? They would win for the day. They did.
Right.
I do remember them bringing out a check, but maybe it was. I don't know what the amount was. It was peanuts. But it was a lot of fun, and that show was one that I used to watch on every day in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was only during the day, so if you're working or going to school, you never see it.
Couldn't see
but
it.
in the summertime, we would watch, and from 12 to 12:30, it was on, and we would not go out to play baseball or do anything else. And this is the day when kids would just go out all the time.
Right, right.
Mom would say, leave at 10, come back at whatever time.
Exactly.
But in the
Before
summertime,
dark, yeah.
you're off. And we were left alone, and we would not do anything. We'd have lunch, watching that show, and then go out. And the whole neighborhood did that.
And Match Game, too. That was on, too.
That was at 3:30 in the afternoon, though, so you'd come home for a snack to watch that, or 4 o'clock.
But you could even see it after school, right? That was the
that
beauty
one
of
you
Match
could.
Game.
Yes,
Yeah.
maybe it was 4 o'clock. So that was fun. So that kind of is gone. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe, but
what, like that, like
the non-celebrity game show.
See. Yeah.
And those were a lot of fun. But now, you talk about TV sitcoms. We did have some experience with TV sitcoms.
That had game shows
Yeah,
in
when
them?
they would visit a game show, and the most classic of which is The Honeymooners.
Here's our next guest, Mr. Ralph Cramden. Now tell me, sir, what do you do for a living?
I bribe a Dutch.
You bribe a dust?
A Dutch a bribe.
Dust a bribe. Now tell me, sir, are you married?
Yes.
You're married. And what is your wife's name?
Mrs. Cramden.
Well, that's fine.
That's Jackie Gleason himself. Now, don't go any further too much with that, because when we come back from the break in a few minutes, we'll continue with that particular episode. But I just want to focus on the idea that there were, and I don't know if it's happening too much now, sitcoms that incorporated the game show into the storyline.
Right. They would the characters would appear in the sitcom on a real life game show.
Right,
Like
and the
Odd
fun would
Couple
ensue, and Odd Couple. Now, can you think of any that do it now?
No, because the game shows haven't been around in a while.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, you could pretend that someone's going to go on Who Wants a Millionaire
or Jeopardy,
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Cliff Clavin and Cheers? He was on Jeopardy.
Okay, he did do that. Yes.
One of the categories was your mother, something like that.
All right, we'll be back, and everything all is new again, and answer that question and more about TV sitcoms.
Jackie Gleason.
The game show.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again, with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Are you ready?
I certainly am.
All right, Mr. Cramden, for $100, who is the composer of Swanee River?
Swanee River.
That's right, Swanee River.
There you go. Everything old is new again. That's Ed Norton, of course, is the answer to that question. On the $99,000 answer, this is Douglas Viviani on Everything Old is New Again with David Cohen, discussing TV sitcoms and how they incorporated the game show into their storyline, and how that was kind of fun. You were saying off the air about that show. What do you think about that particular episode? What was your take on it?
It's maybe my favorite sitcom episode of all time, because the whole episode was one big setup to one punchline at the end. completely out of left field. You didn't see it coming, and it was just brilliant. Just so smart.
Yeah, that was and of course the acting was over the top.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just so smart.
But he would do the Swanee River warm up, and you didn't really. You usually could see things in sitcoms, coming.
Right.
And I don't know. I didn't see that coming later on.
Oh no! Right,
and
you just figured Norton was being his annoying self every time he tried to test Ralph on a song. He would start with the intro of Swanee River, and Ralph was getting really upset with him and all that. And God, who
you
knew?
thought that was the joke. They did it self-encapsulated joke, and then they moved on. So
Right.
it wasn't like they harped on that or whatever. And
Exactly.
then all of a sudden he comes back on the show the following week, and there's the first.
But the great thing, one of the great things was he asked him who wrote Swanee River, and you see, Cramden like looking around, like sweating him, and then you hear the song, right? And then you see Cramden's eyes bug out, like they used to, and that was like the topper. It was so great.
Another one, I mean, a little more contemporary, is not exactly contemporary, but a little more contemporary, was Let's Make a Deal, and the Odd Couple were on that one.
Let's consider this very, very carefully. Sure, take the envelope. Why the envelope? Why not? It's good thinking. We'll take the envelope.
You're going to take the envelope. All right, first of all, we'll see what was behind the waffle iron. There was a gourmet rotisserie.
Oh, a rotisserie! I always wanted that. Oh, we blew it.
I mean, also you got to give credit where credit is due. That script may have been funny on its face, but there had to be some hysterical, ad libs, or at least the acting that these two did, especially Felix on that.
They came dressed as a horse.
Yeah, Tony Randall's over the top.
Yeah,
it's just great. And so there's, Let's Make a Deal was a show that's old as new again. That was Monty Hall back in the day, and it's on again now during the day. It's on for sure right before Price is Right. This show's not on anymore, and I think it should be on. This is a great one. Password, the Odd Couple were on that too.
Aristophanes. Everybody knows Aristophanes wrote a play called The Bird. Felix, we don't listen to me. We're going to lose this entire game that we're being quizzed. Now, this is important. No more Greek clues. Aristophanes is ridiculous. Stand by.
The password is ridiculous.
I'm going to play Alan. Aristophanes. Ridiculous. You got it.
There you go, the all-purpose clue.
Yeah, that's my second favorite all-time episode. The Odd Couple password.
The second favorite besides after 99?
After the honeymooners $99,000 question.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so great acted too, and the
writing and
it's just great stuff. So that's it was part of the lexicon. And it may be coming back, but it certainly was part of the lexicon back in the day, even though it was on during the day. And I guess maybe more people stayed at home, and maybe that's why there was more of an audience or something for these kind of shows. I don't know what exactly, the reason is that there was so many more game shows then than there are now during the day.
Probably because there's too many reality shows on. They don't want a lot of game shows. But
during the day, on
like
a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, that's when these were on.
That's true.
I'd stay home from school sick just to watch.
What's
these,
on during the day now? Anyway, Judge
question.
Judy and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, stuff like that. It's not too much. Let's listen to just a little smidge of the craze. It started in the 50s, and there's a couple of odd shows here. Listen to these. See if you can
invite you to join the fun as we play America's #1 party game, Beat the Clock.
Do you trust your wife?
Well, do you?
Possible for you to retire for life on Do You Trust Your Wife?
In front of you is a curtain. Behind that curtain are treasures. The National Broadcasting Company is proud to present Treasure Hunt. And now, here is the star of our show, Jan Murray.
There you go. Beat the Clock, Do You Trust Your Wife, and Treasure Hunt. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those.
Well, I remember Beat the Clock. They did a redo when we were kids.
Yes,
that was. I think they should bring that one back.
That's a cool one because they would do like these homemade, crazy kind of quirky stunts.
But you had to do within a certain amount of time. If you didn't complete the task, then you didn't win.
Right,
and then you wouldn't know how much time you had. Right until they said let's see how much time on the clock,
right.
And then it's like a minute or 2 minutes, and then that would be exciting or not exciting,
and the clock would keep on ticking as the stunt is going until you get that the balloon into the square box.
And it's done with people, right? Not celebrities. It was another reason why I don't like today's game shows.
It was great. Can you trust your wife? Don't know how long that one lasted. Don't know if that'll ever get a remake. It's a little odd.
Maybe on HBO someday. Yeah.
Sounds like a good like Game of Thrones sequel, you know. And then there's Treasure Hunt, which they redid with Jeff Edwards later on.
Oh, right.
With the boxes and all of that. You know, so that was. But those are the beginning of it.
Remember Tic Tac Doe?
Yeah, that's another one.
That was a good one.
There's a lot of old ones that you could look up that are great, but they all started in the 50s like this, but they all got derailed in the 50s as well. If you remember this, they had Charles Van Doren on the show 21.
The quiz show scandals of the 50s.
And Herb Stempel, and both of them in the 1950s had the answers before the game started. Both of them did.
That's
Not
cheating,
like,
right?
I think so. And so there was an investigation, a little stock footage on that. Listen.
In the Senate hearing room, the dramatic climax of the probe of fixed and rigged quiz shows. Charles Van Doren arrives to apologize and attempt to explain to the millions whose friendship and respect he had won. Van Doren retracts his earlier denials of getting any assistance. He admits that he received dramatic coaching and the questions and many of the answers.
Was that Bradford Wells? Was that our friend Bradford doing the voiceover there?
He's been usurped, the poor guy. He got replaced by that gentleman, Franklin Bazoo, I think his name is. So,
did you just make that up?
Yeah, I did. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, this is a very interesting aspect of the whole thing because there was a show 21 in like the 1950s, I think it was like the 57, that started out with this Herb Stempel and other contestants, and it got no ratings the first time out. And they said, wait a minute now, we've got to do something to get some ratings. So they gave him the answers, and they built him up for, I don't know, something like 10 weeks. And he was up to like, I don't know, at the time period, a lot of money, like $30,000. And then they said, okay, let's build up him up so much. And they did, this quirky little nerdy type of guy. And then now let's bring in this handsome, dashing, you know, almost aristocratic kind of Charles Van Doren, highly educated, and bring him in. And they're going to battle each other, and they did for weeks and weeks and weeks. They tie, and finally Van Doren wins, and Stempel took the dive as if it was a boxing match, and great ratings and so forth. Here's Herb talking about did he care about
why
it?
Why did I go public?
Yes,
it wasn't because I was conscience-stricken or felt bad about this. What I was doing was not illegal. It wasn't quite kosher, so as to speak, naturally. It was not against the law. When he didn't deliver on what he had promised, that's when I became a little angry, so as to speak.
So
there was an excellent movie made about that, too.
Yes, but the movie fibbed a little bit and said that he did not know the answers. And they played it off as if Van Doren was the only one, and he was getting it over on this poor little guy.
So it was like an Oliver Stone take on history?
Exactly. The Robert Redford take, as he was the director of that one. But so you always have to be careful about the media and what's going on there. But Herb Stempel, you heard from his own mouth. He knew the answers, and it was quite an interesting aspect. And then it got revitalized again in the 70s, and
the game show.
Merv Griffin helped a lot to do with that with Wheel of Fortune. We'll be right back. Everything old is new again. We'll talk about more about game shows. Best and the worst on Everything Old is New Again.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Walter Matthau, Sally Field, Charlie Weaver, Zsa Zsa Gabor, Wally Cox, Jan Murray, Van Johnson, and Buddy Hackett. Don Adams, Raymond Burr, Milton Berle, Jonathan Winter, Lawrence Henderson, Ed McMahon, Harvey Korman, Glenn Campbell, or all in the Hollywood Square. And here's the master of the Hollywood Square.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. This is Douglas Viviani. That is a little blast from the past. That's from the 60s and 70s. That show went beyond that and a recreation, the Hollywood Squares. But I just wanted to talk to David Cohen here about the Hollywood Squares. And did you notice the level of star that was on that show? I mean, Milton Berle, Buddy Hackett. I mean, there was some huge stars back in the day on that show.
They were all, for the most part, A-list stars.
Right. Right. Why they wanted to do it and whatnot, I don't know. But that was really the creation of that show, and then it went into the Paul Lynde era and some B stars.
Well, think about it. You mostly sat there on your chair and said nothing. Very little for how many hours?
I understand they gave you the ad libs too. If you needed something to say,
if you needed something, they wrote it for you.
That, yeah.
But unless you were the center square, right? Who was usually Paul Lynde.
And Buddy Hackett before that. He was the originator.
And Buddy Hackett before that. You didn't have to work too hard.
Wasn't a ton. And then they would throw in so-and-so's in this movie, whatever, and then, But anybody that's anyone, Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, modern guys, later on, so many people were on that show, and I guess they did like every one, or like a week, 5 in a row in one day. They banged it out in a couple hours.
It had to be too for exposure, right? To get other work. Just to get your face out there on TV. It was an easy way for them to market themselves.
Right. But that was kind of one of the only ones. The other shows, you'd always, you'd have a celebrity like on Pyramid or whatever playing with a person. Regular Joe, or just, as we've talked about, just regular characters, regular citizens going in and playing the game without having to deal with, this is a game, but by the way, everybody in the game's a celebrity.
Right. Right.
But that's the way it is today. As you can, tell from like Jimmy Fallon and the games that he plays. Games are still in, though, but I think we're at the point where it's got to be stars, or it seems that way. Let's listen to a little Star Trek reference here on Jimmy Fallon. And
Chris and I are about to play a fun drinking game called Battle Shots. We'll take turns guessing coordinates. If you miss, you mark that spot with a white marker. If your opponent gets a hit, you have to drink the shot on that coordinate. First to make their opponent drink 5 shots wins. Now here we go. Chris, you are our guest. Why don't you fire?
Jimmy.
Yes?
I want to see what you have going on at C3.
That's a miss!
There you go. Jimmy Fallon loves these games and plays them for about 5 minutes almost every, 3 or 4 nights a week now. And that was a Battleship he's playing with. None other than Captain Kirk
Chris
himself. Pine. Yeah. So it is fun. Celebrities enjoy it, but and it's a nice peek behind the scenes, especially on Jimmy Fallon. But
because you get out of it's really great because you get out of the interview, getting off the couch. There's only so much promotion you want to hear a celebrity do about their new movie or TV show. This, at least, you get to see another side of them about how they are as people, right? How they react in a game.
Exactly. And Jimmy Fallon has a number of these games. One of them, it's called Box of Lies. You remember that one? Or you ever seen that one?
Yes.
There's a big box. You pull it out, and there's a curtain, or so to speak, in front, a piece of plastic or whatever in front of them, and you can't see each other, and you lie about what's in the box, so to speak.
Or what is it? Where you have to summarize a movie in 5 words or something, or 5-second summary of a movie,
right?
And you had to guess what that movie was,
which is pretty cool. There's another one, the what do they call it? The egg Russian roulette, where you've got a few eggs in a basket that are not hard boiled, and they're hitting them on each other's heads.
Yeah.
Pick that.
The lip sync battles. I'm not big on lip sync. I know lip syncing is really big, karaoke, but actually, if you watch the lip sync battles, it's funny because the celebrities they get into it, man.
Yeah.
They really, really try to put on a show.
You see Melissa McCarthy do it?
No.
Yeah, she was. It's a long story, but she looked that one up. You'll get a kick out of that. They all get through. You're right. Tom Cruise was totally into it.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see the other side of the personality. Like if people could do an impression, like Kevin Spacey,
sure.
They do Wheel of Impressions, and they throw that out there while they're on the couch. And who can you do an impression of and do it for us, and so it is fun. That's great. And that's the good use, so to speak, of the celebrity.
I think so, right? Because you get to see them. They're not just trying to be funny or whatever. You're seeing them in a real life situation.
Let me hear the story.
You would be.
Right. Let me hear the story of how you grew up and how you always wanted to be on this show. And
tell us about your new film. And
cut me a break.
Here's a clip.
And that's when you get a guy like Michael Strahan. If he was interviewing them, boy, would that be interesting.
Are you going off on Michael? Should I run to the restroom while you go off on Michael?
He would be, so tell us about your new movie. That would be his most animation you would get out of that character. Give me a break.
I hope he doesn't listen to the show because he is quite larger than you are.
He is, but that, not really.
I wouldn't want to get
probably
him
weigh as much as he does. It just has it in different proportions. All right, Michael could take a joke. I mean, listen, he was with that.
Now, all of a sudden, Casey's listening. He can take a joke. Yeah.
More than that, he's got a lot of patience. He was with that, what's her name, Kelly Ripa, for how many years? He has a lot of patience. Trust
now
me.
you're ripping on
Sit there
Kelly
with that
Ripa.
one. Oh, my God.
Yikes.
If he actually ate like a bagel in the morning, she would harp on him. She eats like a bird. It's another story. I mean, it makes me crazy. It makes me absolutely insane. Anyway.
Apparently.
And I am insane. Now, listen, there are a lot of games that were really bad on television.
Game shows, yeah.
Oh, my God. Remember The Weakest Link with that lady, Ann Robinson? It was on for like 1 year. She would kind of like ask you a question, then kind of like
sure.
a nasty lady like pick on you and stuff.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
It was pretty bad, I have to admit.
Do you have one worse? I don't know. I remember that being really bad.
I just remember one from a long time ago. It was called Bowling for Dollars, and it was only on in certain markets. Right. It was on in New York for a while. And the only reason I remember it is you had to bowl like 3 strikes in a row, and you won money. So there was a friend of mine, lived down the block, and he said, hey, by the way, my dad's going to be on Bowling for Dollars. I'm like, really? He said, yeah. He said, 3 strikes in a row, I could do that. And guess what? He went on and he threw 3 strikes in a row, and he won. Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
And that was hosted by, if I remember, it was hosted by the Mets announcer, Bob Murphy. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's right. Bowling for Dollars.
And it almost was black and white. It was that kind of color, like just barely color.
It was just right. And it was very cheesy. Very cheesy.
In a bowling alley, like down the road.
Yeah, it was like dimly lit. Yeah, it was weird.
There's also a win, lose, or draw. You remember that? The big craze. I mean, you've had, you would just kind of, Pictionary. You would draw a picture or something. Now, here's the thing. If you drew a picture of someone eating like a hamburger and try to get like McDonald's out of it, Kelly Ripa would have no idea ever what you're talking about. She's never eaten a hamburger, never seen a hamburger, doesn't know what a hamburger looks like. If you drew a picture of seeds and a bird, she would say, well, that's breakfast.
But Kelly Ripa she's very healthy, though. She's in good shape.
It's enough with the healthy, everybody. We're going to all die at 80-something years old. Who cares how healthy you are while you're living, please? Anyway,
all right.
I have a buddy of mine works out like a loon, and I say, that's great. You look terrific. Now what? He doesn't know how to answer the questions. Doesn't know how it's his day. Well, it doesn't work out. Anyway, tell me one of the best. Tell me one of the best ones of all time. What do you think of the best game shows of all time?
The best game shows of all time.
Yes, I have a list of top 10 here that's been voted the best. Got 30 seconds. Get
30 seconds?
Yeah.
You mentioned it before. I love Password.
Good.
They should bring that back.
Yep, that's one.
And I also loved The Gong Show. They should bring that back. And
okay.
I think Jeopardy's a great game show.
Jeopardy's number one.
Yeah.
I'll just go through it. Wheel of Fortune, Family Fued.
I love Wheel of Fortune. Yep.
Match Game, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Hollywood Squares. He talked about What's My Line, and the Newlywed Game. Those are the top 10 of all time. Enjoyed our time together. Think about it. Come on back next week for Everything Old is New Again. You'll enjoy it. It's your time to think about it. Should I come back or not? I will. It's a great show.
Should I come back?
Yes. You've been listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's pop culture entertainment talk show. Find us on the web at everythingoldisnewagain.biz. That's .biz.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.